Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. Hello, everyone. My name is Amin Javed Ansari. In 2014, decided to give 10,000 lectures for the betterment of mankind. In these 32 years of life, I have gone through various transitions. And when I say transition, I'm talking about the inner nature, the inner realm kind. And what that means is my impressions and opinions on reality have changed. And more as life has gone by, I've come to understand that it's a situation. It's a specific situation, this existence. It's not just free for all. You open your eyes for the first time and you can do whatever, right? Yeah, I mean, it does come across that way, but the way I want to explain it to you is that there's more going on than what we just want to see out of reality. Good day to the chat section as well. All right. So if you paid attention, I've written a title that I don't usually write like this, but it felt to me ingenious. And so I was thinking about the task at hand, and then I was thinking the task at hand, or the task or the responsibility of a species. You see, it's one thing trying to think about like what one person's gonna do in their life, but it's a completely different matter if you begin to think about what the human legacy is going to do while it's here. And so the human legacy is one defined by progress, and also defined by territorial acquisition. What that means is that we are the type of creatures that discover something new, and if it benefits us, align towards that. I'm pretty much trying to say that in seeing the behavior of an individual human being, there's around 8 billion of us on this planet currently. Pretty much I'm trying to build up to the idea that what is the task at hand for the individual? What is the task at hand, in some sense, for all of us here? And really, there are, like, I can feel it, even though I won't be alive for it, but I can feel this world is going to go on changing, right? Anyways, what I'm trying to build up to is to try to introduce, if you're a new listener at least, I'm trying to explain reality as a scenario. And because it's a specific scenario, not all actions suffice, I guess. So this is, I'll dive into it. In the subtitle, I've also written "The Creator Welcomes the Created." I have access to the perception of one individual human being. For now, the individual approach I have to this world is, firstly, this was like my recent update, in the sense of, in 2023 I had a completely different framework, completely different energy and intentions on life. In 2024, currently now, I am speaking to you as someone who noticed something that was there from the beginning but was not considered. Fellow human beings, In this lifetime, as you go on living, the way I explain it is that there are three levels for the human being. You can see life as a video game. Many things about it are video game like. First of all, it's an existential system. Systems have a system admin. Okay. They also have moderators and members. We're in the position of members in this existential system. Now, for the members that enter the system, level one is the survival, is the purpose of the body. Like, why do you have a body? Why are you in this system with a body? The purpose of this body is survival. Okay? But there is an issue. There's an issue in level one. Okay? Somebody in the chat section says every day, every second is a chance to change or be the same. Yep. You have control on deciding the context of your being. But many other factors we don't have control. Anyways, guys, I'm going to go back to this. Level one, it's the body. What do you do with your body? It has to survive. Okay, but we realize inevitably it's not going to survive. So we have a problem at level one, being a physical human being. The problem is the health, but it's impossible. Okay, so the fear of level one is the fear of how can I make this body survive when there is death, when there is an expiration date, when these candles that are in some sense revealing their light will in some sense, reach their ending. So level one, survival, you see that you can't survive forever, problem. The body doesn't know what to do with that. Second level is your mind. Now, why is the mind a level? Right? Why aren't the mind and body the same level? Let me tell you. We as beings, if you really pay attention, you have an interactive ability with yourself, others, and the world. This is like your position. When it comes to what you can do, you can move as an object, or you can be communicated as a subject. You can communicate yourself to yourself as a subject. There are some people who think they know themselves just because they have a body, but they don't. I'm telling you, it's like, think of it this way. There's the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, because you're human, right? So it's like your physical human rights. Now there's another layer to life. It's not just that we're being a physical being, we are also psychologically receiving reality. What this means is that you are not just an object. Like if I ask you right now, what are you? You'll be like, I'm an object. But if I ask you, how do you know you're an object? It's because a subject is owning it. Pretty much human beings are either being subjects of the world or they are subjecting the world to their realities. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? What are the options? The creature, it opens its eyes. Either it has to make its inner world similar to the outer world, or it makes the outer world similar to its inner world. It's the same thing in relationships too, I mean, God bless, these past 2 years have been very blessed for me. But when it comes to even getting to know another person, you think they are just their body? What kind of idiot are you? You think they're just their thoughts? What kind of idiot are you? That every person you have seen is an energy. This energy is expressing in different levels. We look at a human being, we see their body. Like a snake looks at a human being, sees infrared. Dog looks at a human being, sees black and white. So do you understand? You are a position. Before you're a being, you're a position of how things are being. Let me tell you the main thing. Okay, let me explain the levels, then I'll explain to you my experience of these levels, then I'll explain it how it can there's a general value to what I'm saying. Firstly, I've simplified the levels, okay? When I say levels, these are modes, okay? Most human beings get up to the three levels are body, mind, soul. I will explain each of these, okay? Body, mind, soul. Think of it as like you're like an onion with three layers, okay? These are levels to your being. Now, level one, let's say you're surviving, you're healthy. You realize the body is temporary and you've accepted it. If you accept your temporary nature, that's kind of like passing level one. But at the same time, I think all human beings have a fear of non-existence. And as it gets closer, that fear becomes real. Level two has to do with the mind. What is the position of the mind? If your body is a relationship with the finite, with finity, your mind is a relationship with the infinite. The body has a fear of death. The mind does not. The mind every night goes and we sleep, vanishes, wakes up the next morning from the previous checkpoint, and you are who you are. So the mind does not fear death. The mind actually has access to infinite ways it can look at life, and it doesn't know what to choose. So if somebody's like Mr.Within, right? What is mental suffering? Mental suffering is realizing there are infinite viewpoints here, infinite ways to extract meaning from phenomena, but which way is correct? And it's that overwhelmment of not knowing what to do with infinity, which is the problem of the mind. The purpose of the mind is actually service. Why? Because the mind is an output-oriented thing, okay? What that means is your mind is giving you an ability to know that you are an energy which can have an output before you die. Your mind actually is not just physically caring for life. It's caring for how what happens means to it. So, why do I say human beings, like 80% of human beings, just like most human beings, they say they live lives of quiet desperation. Well, what the F is that? That's just the body and mind, ladies and gentlemen. We can't ignore. We are an object. I'm physically touching my body, but I'm also a subject. The fact that I call this a body is a subject. Do you understand what they're doing? Do you understand what the materialists and the atheists and the secular society is doing? It is in some sense cutting its own rope. So what does that mean? That means imagine somebody's held onto a cliff with a rope, and imagine it's cutting its rope because it's accepting emptiness before it can actually consider if it's accurately seeing what's here. Of course, it's easy to say there's nothing. It's the easiest thing you can do. It doesn't need to be said. Everybody, before they have an idea on something, everything is nothing. So be careful. A part of the species is scared of higher levels to this reality, and they're trying to limit it to those levels. Most likely what's going to happen is that civilization and the consciousness of the beings on this planet is going to be sectorized. What does that mean? There's going to be sectors. There's going to be sectors of those beings who just want a reality that is form-oriented. There's going to be sectors for beings who realize it was never just form. The mind moves faster than the body. Therefore, in this existential event, creating for itself the simulated possibility that it is experiencing a life. But why do I say that we're in an existential system and there's a system admin? Because not all the activities that are occurring here in this world can be limited and assigned to human initiative. It's moving before us. They've just humanized it because they're scared. I understand it. You can't blame them. You can't blame the atheists, the materialists. You cannot blame the nihilists. You cannot blame the self worshippers, the other worshippers, and the world worshippers. Because what can they do, right? It's like they're bound to form. You're either in the world, or you have an uncaused checkpoint before the uncaused caused causality. Have you ever wondered how many human beings there are on the planet, and how the religious books there were like one, right? And as a Muslim, I think about all the human beings that have read the Holy Quran, right? And I ask myself, how did they give it meaning? That means there's a difference between someone who reads about the Amazon and behaves like the Amazon is real, and then there's a difference between someone who's been to the Amazon and has even seen a snake, like a giant snake or something. My consideration and analysis of wildlife is just speed. The dangerous the animal, the faster the animal, the more risk. Oh, and of course, the bigger the animal, the more risk. It's the same thing with human beings, you know. But we've reached an era of the information age. Therefore, our minds can be as strong as our bodies, with the same logic that the pen is mightier than the sword. It is the invisible laws that are containing the space where human beings are expressing their behavior of free will. You don't realize it. It's like a farm. We're all in a farm. But the hilarious thing is, the fences were created by us. We called ourselves sheep. And now, right, we're acting like there is no farmer, right? There is no shepherd, at least if you were Christian. I'm Muslim, but there's times where I'm listening to the radio and I listen to Christian music, and I've seen this imagery of the shepherd, okay? This divine imagery of the shepherd. And what is the point of the shepherd? To be aware of all beings. So pretty much I'm saying human beings, even though I said there's these levels, those still stand true, and I'll explain the third level as well to you in this lecture, but pretty much I think I reached this checkpoint in my 30s, 32 actually. But others may reach it at different times. Pretty much this is the view. This is the report, what I'm reporting back. In my understanding, the human being is inside a video game. This video game has a system admin. The system admin is not inside the video game. There are moderators inside the video game. The video game is a simulated world. We are being members of the simulated world. There are moderators of this simulation that have authorizations beyond the individual members. However, the total authority of the system is with the system admin. And the advice that is being given is that to go directly to the system admin. The point is not even you acting like a religious man. It is you realizing that there is an original power, an original uncaused causal position to the world, an original world. And I am giving this talk to you in the simulated world. Do you understand? I am a simulated member inside a simulated world. There are also simulated moderators, but there is an unsimulated admin. And in my efforts to advance civilization, I don't know how many people in history there are like this, but I will tell you sincerely, honestly, from the depths of my being, from the depths of my soul, I had reached the conclusion through my reasoning and logic that there is nothing greater to do than to advance the whole species. I had reached this conclusion. It was the greatest visible physical argument, you know, until I realized that of course human beings must build an advanced civilization. If I talk and nobody hears me and whatever, still there will be another Mr. Within that would be born and still talk about the advancement of civilizations. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty much telling you that you're inside a simulation. Because you don't know anything else, you're calling it reality. It's the same way that if I wrote a fiction novel, okay, and a character in my novel suddenly was like, yo man, I'm in a fucking novel, I'm in a story, and it started freaking out. Now imagine that character has such a maturity that it's not freaking out, it's understanding that its role is not to tell the novelist how to write it. It can even ask the novelist, write my story like this, but the novelist knows why that character even exists at all. Write a novel, you'll understand it. I'm a sci-fi writer, I do this. My mind has simulated so many versions of the future that after some point I was like, all right, let's write down some of them at least. But anyways, what I'm trying to tell you, as a simulated being, okay, in your appearance, you should not seek simulated power. So these are the options. You have a route to go and live in the lower self simulation, where I'm giving this talk currently, or you can choose to walk the path of the higher self. Now, what are the differences? This is us getting to level 3. So when it comes to level 3, this is how I tapped into it. Okay, this, all I can share is how I got close to God, how it happened. Okay, first point, I used to truly have this view that God is everything. I saw a Spinozian God, I saw a yogic truth to life. I saw all of us as like cells of a higher organism, but all of that stuff, all of that oneness, non-duality, there is no self, you were free before the idea of freedom, and all of that, all of that stuff that I was saying truly, deeply, those are levels, but those are the lower self max outs. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you brought to me right now a genius polymath who had skills in all areas, who was perfect, who was loved by everyone, who was like a rare being, okay, I would still be like, yeah man, that's lower self ability. What that means is, yo, fellow human being, fellow powerful elitists, you are still human beings. You're still forms. I know that once you reach a certain point on this planet, you kind of see that everybody's asleep and the progress is slow. And based on what you can see that they can't, there's so many ways to get power. Okay? But I want to tell you this. Simulated power runs out. And it's limited. I am telling you, it is way better to be a servant, to be a peasant in an original world rather than the king of a simulated one. Because we have an example of the king of a simulated one, and it is, one of the main moderators, it is the fallen angel, the devil. That's the epitome of simulated power. Not only you can control the souls, the circumstances of these souls, you can deceive but you're still in a simulation. You see, the moment an angel was casted out from heaven, it meant it was no longer in the know. Now, I'm not saying this is an absolute. I'm a human being giving a limited perspective here. But anyways, what I'm trying to tell you is that if you follow the path of the lower self, you will become a devil. Why? Because you are worshiping yourself. That's what the fallen angel did. The fallen angel did not recognize divine decree. Now, of course, I cannot talk about the moderators. It's like a 5-year-old kid talking about like mortgages. Do you know? But I am trying to tell you that if pretty much a part of you as a being is drawn to worldly truth, simulated truth, and a part of you knows original truth. It knows. So the way I tapped into level 3 was that I was stuck in a process of self-worship. Similar to many of my fellow colleagues in cyberspace. And I'll tell you, it is a cool vibe when people that you have no clue from around the world like acknowledge you. Okay, it is a cool vibe, but it is not worth distracting souls from the admin, right? I realized that I was like, bringing my audience into worshiping me. And I was like, what the fuck? Do you know, it scared me. It scared me that there is an original higher power. Let me tell you, anybody who thinks I'm somebody, if there's something alluring about my personality, right, that you might get enticed and attached to, let me resolve that for you. I realized I was in Dubai. I realized my intense, strict, and have to expectations of my future self were destroying me. Spirituality in its most advanced stages is a sophisticated form of self-worship, but the way it's worshiping the self is by nullifying your ego, so you're no longer a single person and an individual, and because you're not an individual, everything is oneness, so you're subconsciously equating yourself to the creator, which is impossible. Why? Because the artwork is not the artist. So nullification, non-duality is not the way. I never thought it could be done, but somebody out Buddha'd Buddha. So, to explain to you level 3, how I access level 3. Level 3 is for those human beings that have gotten tired and have understood the mechanisms of their mind and body of level 1 and 2. What that means is you're starting to get bored of just being an object and a subject. It repeats, guys. If we zoom in on our human experience, we will be shocked by how much of it is on auto cruise, on cruise control. Okay? So, what happened to me is I reached a moment where I was destroying myself, and I felt there were powers that were beyond me, and it took me a decade to realize it's not just fucking hard work. It's not just because you want it. Okay? There's a system admin. Okay? And now check this out. So in 2023, I'm in Dubai. I've stopped giving the talks, and I am in this moment where I see there are problems in my life from other dimensions, which I don't talk about. And I was legit, I felt like a prisoner of myself. I was imprisoned, but by what my expectation of myself had to be. And so I reached this moment where I realized I did not have the ability. There are too many unknown variables, too many uncontrollable factors, too many things happening beyond my maxed out ability, that I was like, okay, the issue is not my hard work was wrong. The issue was not my timing was wrong. The issue was not my efforts were wrong, right? The issue was I did not know where I was giving the talks. I did not realize I am in a power's world. I am in someone's world. Do you understand that wake-up call? Do you understand that? The goosebumps of that was nothing compared to moments of non-dualistic oneness and witnessing automated miracles happen. I am telling you, as someone who for a decade in front of all of you worked with the moderators, the able ones of the simulated world, and now I gave that all up. Do you understand? I gave up the power. If you notice, I am speaking less poetically since my return. I'm speaking way more directly to you, as if I've seen something, and I'm like, yo, what the fuck? It's been here the whole time. So, whether I believe in God or not, it doesn't matter. I hit a dead end. I got trapped in my self-worship. And when you think if you're someone who's honest and trying to be simply decent, okay, just being simply yourself, when that shock comes that you thought something was natural and it was wrong, you don't know that feeling. I died a couple times internally before how I'm speaking to you now. So I was there, and I have a knee problem. When I pray on the bed. Okay, so I was there in the hotel room. I go on the bed and I raise my hands in the air, and for the first time in my life, for the first time, I was even born in a theocracy, but religion didn't mean anything like how it meant in that moment. And in that moment, I was in that my hotel room alone on the bed. Okay, just sitting there, raising my hands in the air, and I said, God, I don't know what to do anymore. I maxed out my effort. They said endure, I endured. And aside from that, these problems that have come in my life, I cannot solve them. And legit, I reverted from some guy who thought he was going to build an advanced civilization to this kid, to this simple being. And I was like, okay, I get it. I see. I am truly empty-handed. And I bowed. It was weird, but I bowed. My body bowed, because I realized I'm going to die. It's going to end. What's the point of being in a game and the game's going to end and you didn't know how to play it? What's the point? It's scary. That's alarming to me. I bowed my physical head, and I also bowed my mind. I was like, all right, God, you're telling me you created this world. This world is your house. This is your domain. If this is your domain, if you created all of us, if you created the world, if everything is moving is in accordance to your decree, your permission, then I became, how do I tell you? I felt like a peasant. I don't know how to tell you guys. It was a feeling. I just bowed and I let go as if pure empty. You don't understand what I let go. I let go of the responsibility I had given my human form while existing, which was equivalent to someone for a decade practicing swordsmanship, right? Becoming a good swordsman, and then last second when he's about to go to the battlefield, they're like, drop your sword, you are not meant to fight. And it was bizarre. And I dropped my future expectations, and I was like, it's all in your hands now. And everything simplified. It was like this electric generator that was making a loud noise at the back of my mind stopped. And I was like, okay, now something is different. Now I have bowed to you. Now I have completely submitted everything. That means I don't even, if the future's up to you, I don't even know what's going to happen 10 minutes from now. And I will trust you. Now you show me. And guys, what happened after that prayer were miracles, that were problems got solved in ways I couldn't imagine, that for decades I was trying to solve and change. And I understood how foolish they convinced us that ourself has to do everything. It was a genius, like diabolical chess move to convince you that you're the only thing here when there's something bigger here. Be careful. All people are fools unless their authorization is given. So after that, my attitude shifted. Everything calmed down. Things became simple. Prayer did not become like an act you had to do, like an enforced act. Prayer became an opportunity in the simulation to just for one moment focus on the original world. What the religious people are doing by acknowledging the Creator throughout the day is in some sense resetting their energy. It's pretty much somebody washing their face with the fountain of the original world and then carrying on. You don't understand how fascinating this idea was for me, that there is an owner of the world. And it wasn't too bizarre. Why? Because look at human beings. Look at the lives we're living. You go and work for a company. That company has a system administration. It has a system admin, right? You right now, it's not like somebody can come in your house and start like living whatever way they want, right? You'd be like, yo, you're inside someone's system. I'm the admin. Do you understand? Everything is system like an ad, and there's admins. But now when it comes to the world, that admin is beyond the world. So to put your attention on the worldly is to still be in the simulated. Now I have this view that the prophets were the mercy of the Creator. They were gifts to mankind. And what were their gifts? What was the gift of the prophets? The prophets were portals. And the books were like the fixed portal. Do you understand? The prophets were portable portals. The books are actual portals, like fixed portals. Okay? It's like imagine like you being able to open up a portal wherever you are, and then you being able to just go to a portal that's just pre-built. Level 3 is when you realize that there is a higher power in this room, in the room of this world. And your relationship with the higher power begins if the lower self-desire for level 1 and 2 is paused for an instant or whatever. It's just you realize that's not the main thing. That it's another way of saying, like the being asks itself, is a body enough to figure out this video game? No. Is a mind enough to figure out this video game? No. Is a soul enough? The soul gets you close. Like my relationship with the Creator is not like yo man, I'm gonna go put it's on speed dial and I give a ring. My relationship with the Creator, it's legit a higher power. It's higher. So it's equivalent to like an ant beside a skyscraper, right? There's a magnitude to it. Every time I have prayed, what I am praying to is the original power of all being. Do you understand? It's a way more fascinating relationship than, advanced technology, to chatting with like super intelligent computers, or like shaking hands with extraterrestrials, right? Or even meeting like angels and whatnot. To me, the system admin is the only key to the door. You don't get it. It's the only way out. What if you were not designed in this world to explore the world, to endlessly know yourself? What if you are here for a specific action? And that specific action is a test. I remember in my schooling days when there was an exam hall, you were empty-handed. You'd walk into the exam hall, you'd go sit down, they'd put the papers on the table, you weren't allowed to touch it, and then they'd ring a bell and everybody would touch the papers and write the exam. And after the exam was complete, you'd give in your papers and you'd leave the exam hall. Now, we human beings are not like that. We think the exam hall is the only place. We don't even consider we've come here. Rather than we say we were born here. So, this realization that you are in a performance review, and the performance review is based on, when you open your eyes, what value proposition you're given. So right now, you, just like me and every other human being, have a spectrum of reality you've seen, and how you've organized this is in some sense your meaning. Now I'm telling you, we are in the passenger seat. If we act like we're in the driver's seat, like imagine there's somebody driving, right, and you're in the right-hand passenger seat, and in midway, while that person's just calmly driving in the highway, you freak out and you're like, no, I have to control everything. I have to control where this car goes. And you grab the wheel, and the person who's driving the car is like, yo man, sit down, don't freaking disturb me, we're in a dangerous, I'm driving on the highway. Do you understand? Don't touch the steering wheel. So the person, what can they do in a car? Just like every person who's ever been in a taxi, you have faith in the driver. Now have faith in the driver of the world. Level 3 is about realizing we are living alongside an authority, an authorizational power. Okay? What that means is, just because we want, like, think of it this way. Imagine there's a company, you walk into the company, you speak to an employee. The employee can't help you out, you speak to a manager. The manager can't help you out, you speak to the admin, to the owner of the business, the CEO, let's say. I mean, the CEO is not the owner, the board of directors is, but let's say the owner of the business. The one who has the most shares. So anyways, what I'm trying to pretty much tell you is that the owner's ability to serve you is way greater than the employee and the managers. And in this world, what Islam has done is a religion that is pointing you to go to the system admin, to go to directly to the original, rather than in some sense try to get by through moderation. Pretty much either you're being moderated by the simulated, or you're in the field of the original. My understanding so far is that my relationship with God is just to ask for forgiveness. You don't understand, the meaning of forgiveness has changed because it's real. It's like, do you understand what I mean? Imagine like you accidentally are driving and you hit somebody's car in their driveway. Okay? You cannot act like nothing has happened. You have to go directly and communicate and make the person aware and try to resolve the situation to the best of your ability. Right? But you don't act like, yo, this car has no owner. It doesn't matter what I hit. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's we are being ushered as a species into a new era and new responsibility, not just physically, but also in level 2, our mind. Have you reached the point where you feel responsible for your creator's creation yet? Or do you still have enemies and friends? This world is a spectrum, just like the ocean. So many different kinds of fish. So many different kinds of beings here. We are like a, standard sized fish. There's freaking whales here, but the whales are not as superior to those who are, let's say, above the dimensions limitation. So I've explained the levels. When you get to level 3, it's the body and mind simplify. You actually become a simple person. Up to level 2, you're becoming a sophisticated, complex, intellectual, able to see so many angles kind of being. But once you get to level 3, it's through your originality that you get to contact the original power. So if you have an agenda, if you're like, yo man, if I pray to God, or yo man, I might get rich, that's not original. That's not the original you. The original you is simpler. You got to think back to when you were a kid. When you were a kid, you were simple. You were just being here. You had faith because there was no doubt of the world yet. So the instruction has been be 2023. I was like, yo, wake up humanity and help me build the greatest advanced civilization known ever to the history books. But now I'm like, yo, everybody, go cut first. The power we need to build the advanced civilization is already set in motion. I thought I was the first one. I thought I was an early bird. Little did I realize the higher power, it's in decree. It's coded. Do you understand? The advanced civilization of humanity. When it happens, it's already happened before it happened. The power of it. So what I'm trying to say is, at least in the world, in the simulated world we're in, to build an advanced civilization, my understanding was that what I realized was that you cannot do it with simulated power. The ego cannot attain the most advanced position of being. So in other words, you require to contact the original power. Me and you I'm telling you, our kind of transcendental location. We are in the simulated world. We are members. We're not even moderators. We can act like moderators, like let's say a father is moderating like two souls, like his children. And I'll be honest, guys, I have in my prayers felt a fear that is unlike any fear I have ever felt. When they say fear of God, that's not like normal fear. It's like a fear where it's as if like you're like an intern and the head of the company is in front of you. Do you understand? To me, like, the feeling I have is in some sense just asking for forgiveness to be worthy, to be in the aura, in the presence of the Creator. Do you understand? I cannot live like an Arab Muslim because I was not raised that way, right? Even though my perspectives towards that is that there's pretty much whether religion or not, my view is that the truth that all of our attentions should go on is beyond the world. I'm pretty much that guy who's no longer buying the world anymore. I'm telling you, simulated power, you're very far from the real game. The original game is you trying to get close to your original being. Your original being was not created by you, so the ego can never access it. The original being was created. That means you cannot know your real self without faith. And faith is not knowing, is trusting. So the real self, your soul, is unknowable, but if you have faith, you can know what you're being. And above all, it's up to the creator. Do you understand? I'm like, the vibe has changed. It's like, to me, the world having a creator is like, it's reminding me of the times where I was in like middle school in Iran, grade 6, and we had a principal. His name was Aghay Chavushi, Mr. Chavushi. And this guy, right, anytime he walked past people, everybody acted well. Everybody acted polite. Everybody acted in line, right? And that single person's presence was keeping the behavioral system of that school in check. Now, the behavioral system of this planet most likely is the invisible creator, the singular common denominator, but we have billions of religious people who through religion are accessing it. We have billions of secular people. So for our lovely secular audiences, the same thing that religious people are doing is the same thing for you in considering the world as a system, and there's a system admin. Human beings are reanimating the imagery of the sacred texts. I'm trying to tell you that this life is about you noticing the higher power and working alongside it by playing your part. It's not about transcending, enlightening, getting out of here. It's not about just you or others or just the world. The one and only is here. And greater than anything somebody can tell, any knowledge somebody can give you in a simulated world, is to go towards the original. So in 2023, I was missing the power source needed to build the advanced civilization. It is the acknowledgement of the admin. Sincerely, give it a try. Sincerely means you can't act. You can't try to outsmart this higher power. Be simple, sincere, and empty-handed, as if you're walking into a free room and there's nothing in your pockets and nothing. You have empty-handed. You're just going. How do I tell you? It's like you're walking up empty-handed to a power. When I pray and my attention goes on the original, I feel the might of its presence. No way is it equal to man. No way people can act like God. I don't care if you're, guru, the most trustable guru, the most enlightened guy. It's not about enlightenment anymore, because there's a system administration going on. There's protocols. There's legit, like, imagine you being an employee and you thinking there is no supervisor watching you, and you're doing whatever you like. And then something happens and you're like, why? Why did this thing happen? Right? And it's because the supervision understands the environment you're in. If I am to manage, let's say, a group of people, not only I have to understand everything that can take place in the environment perfectly, I also have to understand the capacities and capabilities of those I manage. I don't know, I have this weird, I shouldn't say weird, but this strange, unique vibes when it comes to management and organization. I don't know how to explain it, but it feels to me that there are people who have experiences of, let's say, managing armies, and then there is experiences of the civilizations. So it's like pretty much the task is to notice what's important and communicate. I'm communicating to you that to surpass and complete this level video game of life, you require to notice the admin. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful, all forgiving. There's a clue there. Very huge clue of what the ultimate outcome will be of everything. That means could even hell be forgiven? And Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, all praise due to the Lord of the worlds, plural, all that exists, all galaxies, all planets, all black holes, all everything. It has an owner. There is a lordship here, but the lordship is not humanized. So what is the most courteous way? Polite. How can a simulated being be polite to an original being? It's very simple. By not simulating itself. That's what faith is. Faith is like relax. Let the admin move it. And to me, when I told you the miracles happened and I truly understood, it became completely real for me. Faith is like you're swimming in a river. You could be swimming against the river. You could be swimming in the direction of the river. But if you stop swimming, the river still carries you. Faith is not just like, all right, there's this idea that everything's going to work out. It's going to work out. It's legit having an honor. Like if you're somebody who has a boss at work, like that boss is real. When you go around that person, you get an emotion, you get a feeling. It's the same thing with God, but it's not real in the sense of form. It's a power beyond form. So I am telling you, there will be human beings who will still act like they are simulating, they're kings of a simulation. Unfortunately, they will realize in the time that you try to be the king of the simulation, you missed out on serving the original world. It's not about God exists or not, guys. It's about, is it a fake fucking world or is it real? Like, wouldn't you get pissed off if this was fake? If you were in a simulation right now, wouldn't you care for the original? Would you just be like, all right, man, I'm simulated inside a simulation. What else? That's it, right? Are we waiting for for things to fade to black, or are we realizing that potentially there was never death and it's a massive game, and there's way more to this whole thing that we're not seeing? I used to say, rise, mankind, rise, but now, rise, mankind, rise in the sight of God. You're not alone. It is not just the unborn future generations watching all of us now and being like, what the F are you guys doing? It is also the one and only, the most important performance review. And the performance review, this is how I got the clues. The test is to see if you see something more than yourself. Everybody is self-obsessed. Everybody is worshiping themselves from the beginning of their life till the end. Because on some level, we have no choice. We have to exist. Every time I get hungry, I gotta worship myself and go eat food. Every time I get thirsty, I gotta worship myself and go do that. Every time I get, let's say aroused, I gotta go and figure that out. Do you understand what I'm telling you? We are by design kind of positioned to be like, to see ourselves, others, and the world. But if these three classifications are wrong, then what the F have we been doing? This is what allowed me to truly open the horizons of my mind, where I was like, what if everybody is wrong? That at least gave me an ability to, from an original checkpoint of my being, live. But my final resolution is, it has a system admin, and it makes no sense that if there is someone in the room and us, we are in the room and we can notice it's in the room but don't acknowledge it. That's bullshit. That's like acting like we don't know somebody when we know them. It's the same thing with God. It's the same thing with the created. If the created acts like it doesn't know the creator is going to be like, look at this insecure. Of course, guys, I shouldn't humanize God. But I'm saying, when you truly realize the system admin is important to know, to acknowledge, then you'll become believe it or not, you become a different being. Your energy is different. Your luck, look, what people thought, the yogis thought was karma changes. But now it's all divine decree, and you at least acknowledge it. So anyways, guys, thank you for listening. And we're all not just bodies in a world, we're not just minds in a story, we are souls in the presence of the original force, the original power. The creator welcomes the created. But you, if you're worshiping yourself, cannot welcome anything other than that. If you're worshiping others, you cannot even welcome yourself. You can't even love yourself if you're worshiping somebody else. I do not want a bunch of freaking schmoes, okay, as a species members, okay? I want advanced human beings with an advanced awareness to their surroundings and situation, and with advanced resolutions. And in any situation, dear viewer, just ask yourself, what is the most advanced outcome? It will automatically bring you ideas. But ultimately, call God's name first. Before I started this talk, I said God's name. Before I drove this car, I said God's name. I didn't say it to be like, yo man, I'm accumulating points. It's not like that. I said it because I'm saying, I am acknowledging that you are in the room as I am. Religion is just about acknowledging the presence of a higher power, realizing by definition, a higher power is beyond your current power of understanding. This world, and its interaction intelligent levels, which is the term I've created, it's way higher than how we're living. Do not get convinced by anybody currently telling you what you see is it. It's just ridiculous. And Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, all praise due to the Lord of the worlds. May God forgive our species. May our species be fascinated and not forget God, the creator, be fascinated by the original force. That means it's not that we just need sins to remember God. We can become fascinated by God to remember God. And it's all up to God's divine decree. And this is why the moment I told you that experience happened, I became peaceful and free, because the burden of what will happen to all of us, I had put on myself. Even if I hadn't consciously, subconsciously I had. I had consciously also, but subconsciously it was, because that was the only logical outcome. That means if I was an able being and it was somebody was like, all right, what are you going to use your ability for? Well, obviously to advance all of us. Why else are we all here? Somebody in the chat section says God is always there. No need to worry. I know. It took me 30 years to realize that. To realize that I am not God. To realize that there is a hierarchy here. And if we don't treat the hierarchy properly, we're confusing the system. For me now, I used to see various advanced civilizations, but an advanced civilization, which is the collaboration project of members having their attention on the system admin, of the moderators having their attention purely on the system admin, and the system admin being like, all right, humanity, you are ready now. Send in the decree. So I am telling you, I've reached a point where I am just waiting. I am waiting for all of you, for everyone. That's it. Patience is the resolution of the meaning of life. What does it mean? In your patience, you will see. And I just hope, of course, all belongs to God. All of this, even my body, even my existence. But as a human being that is ready and willing to advance civilization, I hope while I'm alive, I get to see, while I'm in my youth even, at least advanced strides of humanity. I can see a couple chess moves ahead. I can't see all the moves ahead, but I could see the couple chess moves ahead for our civilization. The most important chess move is contacting the manufacturer for all problems, going directly to the admin. That power aligns, organizes. It's pretty much, you want something, it's limited to imaginable. The lower self, when it wants something, it's limited to imaginable imperfection. The higher self, if it has faith, it receives it through unimaginable perfection. What that means is you receive the right thing at the right time in a way that was perfect, that you could not even fathom and calculate. Why? Because you're not acting like you're in an empty room anymore. And how do you establish trust and a relationship with people? You need to have experiences with them. This is why prayer is important. Your soul needs to see the levels of your body and mind go towards that which is beyond the body and mind. And it gets peace. It feels peace. And think of it this way. Think of like truth as strangely like a location. Okay, imagine I put a candle, a lit candle in the corner of a dark room. Okay, now the opposite corner is the darkest, let's say, okay? And that corner is bright. And imagine it's a giant room. The light can't travel all of it, right? So in that situation, it would be as if the closer you get to the candle, the more you get to see what's in the room, what's going on, where you are. The further you are from that original light, the less things are darker and the less you see what's going on. So truth is not per se just like, yo, I'm going to understand something, it's going to happen. It's about, are you close to it or are you not? And that closeness has to do with you being original, which has to do with the concept of purity. Where they're like, yo, man, that person is so pure. It's like that person's a saint. No, no, no. That person is being a less sophisticated entity, therefore simply being able to notice that higher power. Lower self, you max out your free will. Higher self, you have faith that the admin knows what to do. And that's as far as I'll take this talk. Thank you for listening. Have a great day. And go directly to the system admin of the original state of being, the original position of being. The moderators, I worked with the moderators for a decade. It's not as advanced as the admin. It's equivalent, like I even had a Discord server, I had moderators and I had members. The moderators were having interactions with the members that I wasn't even aware of, right? And the members were not, like, they were speaking rudely to some of the members. And the member, instead of contacting, just dealing with the moderator, the member that came and messaged me, the system admin, and I went and spoke to the moderator and also to the member. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. You're not alone. But if you're trying to act higher than anything else, any other sort of power in this world, you cannot notice the higher power. How can you? You're too busy seeing yourself rather than that which is beyond that, beyond yourself. We're not the main event here. All right, guys, I'm going to end it for real now. Thank you for listening. Have a great day. God bless.